and pushing against the constraints of a male-dominated society? Yes, absolutely. This cover is one of my favorite things I've ever seen in my entire life. This is a nonfiction book.
Who is she? We don't know her.
When I tell people I haven't read this series, they're literally like, hello my friends, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Tori. If you're new, I am so happy that you're here. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Today we are doing the first official book haul of 2023 and I have 20 or so books to share with y'all that I'm so excited about. These first 3 books are on a lot of my TBRs for 2023, so I may have given summaries for them in previous videos, so I will try not to harp too long on them. But we have Sirens and Muses by Antonia Angress. I'm hoping to include this in a sad girl lit vlog because I feel like it just fits the vibes so well. This cover is one of my favorite things I've ever seen in my entire life. This is like a light academia book. We follow this group of friends who's in an elite art school in New York City, and it's kind of following them at the tail end of their college careers, and then they're going into their adult grown-up lives in New York. And they're a very competitive group of friends. And so it's how they're kind of dealing with this transition after college into the real world. I hate calling it that, but into the real world, and how they're dealing with their egos, their aspirations, and their ambitions and things like that. Then we have A Promise of Fire by Amanda Boucher. This is the first book in the Kingmaker Chronicles. This series was recommended to me by my friend Serena. It's on my 12 books challenge TBR. And we have our main character Kat, so she's kind of trying to run away from her destiny, which I think is so much fun, and she's deciding to be in this traveling circus to hide from her destiny. As far as she's concerned, the magic humming within her blood can live and die with her. She won't be anyone's pawn. But she locks eyes with an ambitious warlord from the magic-deprived South, and her illusion of safety is shattered forever. Griffin knows that Kat is the Kingmaker, the woman able to divine truth through lies, and he wants her to be a powerful weapon for his newly conquered realm.
He kidnaps her off the street.
And now she's just fighting to escape him. Kat fights him at every turn, showing a ferocity of a spirit that burns hot and leaves him desperate for more. So this is a 4-book series that's a fantasy romance. That sounds like so much fun. Then we have She Who Became the Sun by Shelley Parker Chan. This book is about a girl in 1345 in China. So China is under harsh Mongol rule. A lot of the population is dying of starvation, and a lot of the girls in this society, really all of the girls in this society, really aren't valued. The girls aren't getting the majority of the food. The girls are supposed to be just like taking care of their husbands and their brothers and their sons. It is very, very harsh. This book in the summary is compared to a mix between Mulan and Song of Achilles. I don't think that either of those are great comparisons. The only reason this book is similar to Mulan is because our main character is a girl, but she pretends to be her brother who died of starvation. So she takes over his identity to survive. It's her journey through this world to fulfill what was her brother's destiny. She kind of turns it into her own destiny, where she is destined for greatness and she's trying to achieve that destiny. This is very, very harsh. I would compare it more to a Poppy War in terms of the tone and the mood and the brutality of things that happen in this book, but it does have a really interesting conversation about gender. Jump into this only if you're ready for extremely complex scheming and really complex character dynamics, a very dramatic and I would say traumatic fantasy story. I have volumes 4 and 5 of The Promised Neverland. These covers too are just so great. This is a manga series that I started in 2022 that I absolutely love. It is a horror manga series that follows kids that are at this orphanage. It's all they've ever known, and they really do have a good life. But when the kids turn 14, they get taken out of the orphanage and no one really knows where they go or what happens to them. They say that they get adopted, but then we find out some information that has us questioning whether or not they're getting adopted by happy families or if something much darker is going on. These books are amazing. Highly, highly recommend if you love manga and you love horror and you love suspense and like mysteries. Next, I don't think we're gonna be surprised by this one. I'm still on my Greek mythology retelling journey, and so I had to pick up Daughters of Sparta by Claire Haywood. This follows two sisters. They are the princesses of Sparta, which is Helen, who started the Trojan War, not by her own doing, but she gets kidnapped and men are fighting for her, and she is the center of the Trojan War, and then her sister Clytemnestra, and they've known nothing but luxury and plenty. With their high birth and unrivaled beauty, they are the envy of all of Greece, but such privilege comes at a cost. While still only girls, the sisters are separated and married to foreign kings of their father's choosing. The powerful Agamemnon and his brother Menelaus. Yet even as queens, each is only expected to do two things: birth an heir and embody the meek, demure nature that is expected of women. But when the weight of their husband's neglect, cruelty, and ambition becomes too heavy to bear, Helen and Clytemnestra must push against the constraints of their society to carve new lives for themselves, and in doing so, make waves that will ripple throughout the next 3,000 years. Okay, first of all, sister dynamics, always a yes. Second of all, strong female character sister dynamics, yes, absolutely. And pushing against the constraints of a male-dominated society, yes, absolutely. This is a nonfiction book. Who is she? We don't know her. I do not read nonfiction books usually, but this one was recommended to me by my friend Nikki because one of my goals last year and continuing into this year is to continue to improve my analytical skills of literature. Now, some books I just read to have a silly, goofy time, you know what I mean? But other books, I do like to try to delve a little bit deeper into the messages that the author is trying to portray to the readers and criticisms of society that are in books and things like that. So this book is called How to Read Literature Like a Professor. It is by Thomas C. Foster. It doesn't sound as boring as the title makes it out to be. Ultimately, it's going to teach the readers how to be more analytical with their reading processes. It sounds like the author has a good bit of humor that's written throughout this book. So just looking at the table of contents, some of the chapter titles are Every Trip is a Quest, Except When It's Not. Nice to Eat With You, Acts of Communion. Nice to Eat You, Acts of Vampires. When in Doubt, It's from Shakespeare, ... The next one, or the Bible. It's my symbol and I'll cry if I want to. I think that it's really funny, and so I'm hoping that this isn't as dry as maybe what the title is gonna offer, but I'm gonna read this very slowly. It's not gonna be a book that I just sit down and read in like a couple days. I'm probably gonna start this and then try to find books that align with the topic of each chapter, practice my analytical skills, and then move on to the next chapter and stuff like that. Okay, now we're gonna get into some of these boxes, and I'm so excited to talk about these with y'all. These next two books were so kindly gifted to me by Alva. Alva, thank you so stinking much. You literally made me scream, cry, and throw up when I saw this package and opened it. But it says, "You've been killing it with all the Bookmas content. Here's a little something to say thank you and Merry Christmas from Alva." I'm sobbing internally. We have How the King of Elfham Learned to Hate Stories by Holly Black. I am so excited for this. I am so excited for this because I also just pre-ordered Stolen Heir by Holly Black. So I am gonna read these pretty much one after the other. I think I'm gonna read Stolen Heir and then go back to How the King of Elfham Learned to Hate Stories, because I feel like I'm not gonna wanna be done with this world after I read Stolen Heir, and this is gonna be such a good one to pick up. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And then the other one that she got me is Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater. I've heard that this is a really sweet and like heartwarming fae fantasy tale. I mean, come on. And then very quickly, to return to the Stolen Heir, obviously this just came out this month. It literally showed up yesterday, and I am racing to finish my current book that I'm reading, which is The Bone Witch by Rin Chupeco, so that I can start this right away. I cannot wait. Also, this is our Confused Queens book club pick for January, so it's not too late if you want to join us and read this book. Our live show is going to be the last weekend in January to discuss it. All of the details for the Confused Queens book club are always linked in the description box below if you want some more information. The next two books go together, so I'm going to talk about them together. We have The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang, which is the second book in the Poppy War series, and the third book, The Burning God. These books are so massive. And I didn't realize that they were gonna be this big until they showed up. But these are the floppiest paperbacks. They're just incredible. I read the Poppy War last month in December. It absolutely broke me, but it's one of the best books I've ever read in my entire life. So I will be continuing on with the series. I'm just scared. Next, we're gonna get into all of the books that I bought from the Barnes & Noble half price sale. It was 50% off all hardcovers, and I didn't order one hardcover, but it was buy one, get one 50% off of paperbacks, and I just like went crazy. The logic doesn't logic. I don't know what I was doing. The first book I'll talk about is Court of the Vampire Queen by Kate Robert. I've never read anything by her before. This is a reverse harem vampire fantasy romance. Literally stunning. I'm planning to read this in February for something very exciting that is coming, that you're gonna get more information about very soon, and it's literally killing me that I can't talk about it with y'all right now. We have Mina and we have Malachi Zion. So Mina has always wanted to escape her father's control. She is half human, half vampire, and she is eternally torn between two worlds, never fully experiencing the pleasures of either, until her father chose her as a pawn in his latest political move, gifting her to the darkly powerful and dangerously seductive Malachi Zion. Hopefully that's how you say his name. Malachi is not a vampire to be trifled with. He rules with an iron fist and has a reputation for the darkest sins. But the longer Mina is with him, the more she realizes he's not the monster she first thought. And as fear bleeds into lust, then trust, then something more, Malachi opens Mina up to a world she never knew could be hers for the taking, including the love of Malachi's two closest friends and companions. This is giving King of Battle and Blood vibes with like the political arranged marriage type trope, except mixed with the reverse harem. Then we have Jade City by Fonda Lee. My friend Sarah has been begging me to start this series. This is a trilogy called the Green Bone Saga, and from my understanding, it is kind of like Asian cultured inspired, but it's like mafia, like Asian mafia vibes with Jade, which is this powerful resource that like everyone wants to get their hands on. It enhances powers.
I'm honestly pulling this all out of my ass of what I can remember.
But it enhances powers, and the mafia or the mob kind of like controls this resource. It sounds so good. I just haven't been prioritizing my time well, honestly, but 2023 is the year of fantasy series, so here we are. Speaking of fantasy series, the next series that, when I tell people I haven't read this series, they're literally like, Throne of Glass. Yeah, I haven't read this yet. I've been really scared. The thing is, I love Sarah J Maas. I've loved ACOTAR. I loved the first book in Crescent City. And everyone says like, Throne of Glass, you have to remember that in terms of publication order, this was her first series that she published, and so her writing isn't as strong in these books because she's grown over time and her writing has gotten better and better and better through all of the series that she's written. Completely makes sense. I have been really nervous because a lot of my friends tell me like, because I loved ACOTAR so much and like Crescent City, it's gonna be an abrupt change to her writing style in these books. However, I've heard that the plot of these stories is better than ACOTAR, and so now I'm like, okay, I have to read them. Like, I have to read them. I got the first two, and we're gonna see how it goes from there. So I got Throne of Glass and Crown of Midnight. Okay, last two books, my friend. These last two books are both on my 5-star predictions list for 2023. Wicked Saints by Emily A. Duncan. This one I'm a little bit nervy for because it does not have high ratings on Goodreads, but the premise of it sounds so good. And I know that there's at least one more book in this series. I don't remember if it's a duology, but there is one more book in the series that's published and out right now. We're in a society where there has been a centuries-long war, and we have 3 main characters who are all on these separate journeys when we first meet them, but they all kind of band together and their stories intertwine throughout the book, which I love that setup. I absolutely love it. That's how Priory of the Orange Tree is kind of set up. And so already I'm very bought in. We have a girl who can speak to gods must save her people without destroying herself. A prince in danger must decide whom to trust. A boy with a monstrous secret waits in the wings. Together they must assassinate the king and stop the war. I mean, it sounds so good. The last one that we're gonna talk about is The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne. I have never read anything by John Gwynne, but in my mind, he's just an author that's up there with like a Robin Hobb or a Brandon Sanderson. Epic, crazy, high fantasy books that are a little bit chunky, but so worth it. And obviously this one has a dragon on the cover, a really scary dragon, and like, look at that size of that man.
Like, how are you gonna win that, sir?
This is a Norse-inspired epic of blood and vengeance. When the gods fought, it was a battle so savage they destroyed themselves, leaving nothing but their bones and the broken land of Vigrid. Now, as whispers of war echo over the fjords and across the plains, fate follows in the footsteps of 3 warriors, a huntress on a perilous quest, a nobleman pursuing battle fame, and a thrall seeking retribution among the mercenaries known as the Bloodsworn. Again, we have like 3 main characters who all have different motives, but you know that they're gonna band together and it's gonna be epic and it's gonna be amazing, and I cannot wait. So yes. And that is it, my friends. I didn't count how many books that is, but it sure is a lot. Check out these piles. So we have a bunch of books to read. If you read any of these books, please let me know in the comments down below. If any of these are on your TBR, please let me know as well, because I would love to buddy read them. Remember to give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you want to see more, and I will see you in my next one, friends. Bye!